Welcome everyone to Savage Encounter. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you. I'm going to give everyone a few seconds to join in. And while everybody's joining in, if you could open up your chat, either on Facebook or on Zoom, and just let us know where you're tuning in from. What part of the world are you at right now? So we've got Ojai, California, La Habra, California. Unbelievable. Thank you so much. John Freddy's over in Colombia. I'm in Philadelphia. Pascal, what's up, my brother? Colorado Springs, San Marcos, North County, San Diego. Thank you so much, Mark, for being here with us. Kenny, bless you, brother. Thousand Oaks, California. Kenneth, my brother, thank you so much. Devin from the UK, my brother, Devin, UK. We got you over there, all the way from Europe. What time is it over there, T? What time is it over in the UK? Ashkan, thank you so much for being here with us, brother, from SoCal. Much appreciated. Dane, my brother, what is up? Thank you so much for being here with us. It means the world to me to see you. It is 4:30 in the UK. Unbelievable. Thank you so much, my brother. Appreciate you taking the time for being here. Bueno, we have a lot to cover today. This is Savage Encounter, a healing journey in the divine masculine. And today we're going to cover what are some of the teachings of the Yahe culture, the ayahuasca culture from the Colombian Amazon, as far as divine masculinity. What is it according to the teachings of the ancestors that is man known as the human man, as the masculine man? Who is he? And we're going to look at some of the tools that are available to us to deal, to work with the energies and the circumstances and the challenges that come up in life. So what are these ancestral tools from the Amazon that we have? And we're also going to look at what are the first steps? What are the practical first steps that we as men, as divine creatures, as a unique piece of celestial art, each one of us, what are the things, what are the first practical steps that we can take to really live with more love, with more courage, with more strength, to really embody everything that we dream that we are, and go beyond that, because our potential is so much greater than what we feel. No matter how awesome you feel inside, when you're quiet, you're like, I know that I'm great. I just want to show the world you're more than even that. So imagine that. So we're going to get into that. We're so grateful today to have with us John Freddy from Colombia, and Rick Gil de Montes, my brother from California, co-host to the Unstoppable Man podcast, and all our brothers from around the world that are joining us right now, and you that may be watching this on the replay. So without further ado, we're going to start with John Freddy. We're going to hear from him a little bit on what is the origin of a man in the culture. And a lot of this format, we're going to encourage you guys to ask questions. So feel free to type your questions in the chat, whether you're on Facebook or here on Zoom with us. Just go ahead and type your questions, and we'll work on answering them as we go along. We'll work to answer each and every one of your questions. It'll flow a lot better with questions, so we really want to encourage you guys, because this is not so much about what we have to say as it is about what you have to ask, and how the culture responds to those questions, what's available to you in the Yahe culture based on the questions that you have and what you're looking for to embody as a man. So my brothers, thank you so much. May the divine be with us always. May this be a fantastic journey in wisdom, in healing, and in growing as brothers. John Freddy, bienvenido, mi hermano. ¿Cómo estás?
Hola, buen día. Muchas gracias.
So John is saying good day to everyone, and to thank you so much for us being here with him. Rick, mi hermano, do you want to kick off with anything?
Yo, man, I just want to, I really want to thank everybody for being here. I mean, it's 8:30 in the morning in LA. For some of you, it's, late afternoon. What it takes for you guys to be on this call, to take time out of your day and to be here. I'm just really grateful for your presence and for your commitment to discover more powerfully who you are and, how you become more of who you genuinely are in this world and what you're for and all of that. And I'm present to just this community of men that have come together to create that. And so I honor that and I appreciate you guys and thank you guys all for being here.
Thank you, Rick. Bueno, John, entonces vamos a empezar, John, con lo básico, ¿no? ¿Cómo es que se define lo que es el hombre masculino en la cultura del Yahé?
Bueno,
So the question that Carlos asked is how does a man defined, the masculine man defined in the Yahé culture?
bueno, el hombre es como el caminante de existencia, de vida. Ujú. En la cultura se representa como el árbol de vida, que es el que es proveedor de todos esos frutos para poder entender ese misterio de existir.
The man, the masculine man, is the walker or the journeyer that walks through existence. The masculine man is represented in the tree of life as the provider, the provider of sustenance, the provider of existence. ¿Algo más, John?
Y de ahí, cuando estamos y comprendemos esa parte de ese árbol, sabemos que el árbol causa sus frutos y también tiene su semilla. Esa semilla es la que debemos nosotros empezar a sembrar para empezar a cosechar esa gran experiencia de existir en este viaje que es este plano.
There in the tree of life, we find that there's a fruit and a seed. And it's the seed that we as men should gather and begin to plant. Because the seeds that we plant determines what we harvest on this plane as we go through this life. Mm-hmm.
Sí, es la capacidad, el hombre tiene la capacidad de crear, de crear un mundo muy lleno de sabiduría, de conocimiento, de sanidad.
The man, the male, has the capacity to create worlds. We have the capacity to create a world of healing, of beauty, a world that is in balance. Como un mundo que está en balance, ¿sí, John?
Un mundo del equilibrio, sí, señor.
A world of equilibrium. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. John, I'm going to ask John these seeds that he's talking about. What are they? Not metaphorically, but very literally. What are the seeds that we as men should be collecting in our life? What are they? John, entonces, muy literalmente, ¿no? ya saliendo de lo metafórico a lo específico, estas semillas que debemos estar recogiendo en nuestra vida para sembrar, para después cosechar. ¿Qué son estas semillas? Literalmente, ¿qué son?
Bueno, estas semillas, principalmente, empecemos por poder, digamos, estar en este plano, que es como el detalle, el regalo que tenemos de cada día existir en este plano, ¿sí? Después de eso vienen los hijos, viene toda la estructura, diseño que quiere uno ser, en qué quiere uno especializarse, que viene también, digamos, tejiendo toda su profesión, su estructura como tal, desde niño, adolescente, adulto y ya, digamos, anciano. Pero todo ese recorrido se basa qué queremos nosotros llegar ya, digamos, en una edad madura. ¿Qué hemos hecho nosotros por tener esa oportunidad de existir en este plano.
Okay. John, yo voy a agregar un poquito, le voy a dar un poquito más de detalles según lo.
Okay.
So I'm going to expand a little bit on what John said, because the cultural teachings, John, que yo voy a explicar que las enseñanzas de las culturas son como vivientes, que las palabras son como solo para guiar y después uno tiene que vivirlas para entenderlas.
Sí, señor.
En el Oriente, so in the culture, in the Amazonian culture, the words that are given by the ancestors, by a guide today, typically, are just words for that, for guidance. The meaning of it, the definition of, you have to live it, you to experience it. It's a lived experience. It can't be transmitted just through words. So what John is saying, that the first of the seeds that we have to see, first you have to see the seed in order to pick it up, to plant it, to cultivate it in your life, is gratitude for existence. He says that the first seed of life, the first gift of life that we need to cultivate and plant is gratitude for being alive. Just the opportunity alone to be here on this earthly plane, having this experience, is a gift. And we should take that gift as a seed and plant that gratitude just alone for being alive. Every day, giving gratitude, cultivating, taking care of that seed, and taking the fruits of that seed of gratitude and sharing it with ourselves, with others. The Amazonian culture, the Yahe culture, always talks about design. There's a design. There's a cosmic design. There's a community design. There's a personal design. And everybody's design is connected to their essence. So the next seed that John is talking about is knowing this design. In other words, where am I projecting to? When I go through my 20s to my 30s, what am I projecting from 20 to 30? And when I go from 30 to 40, what am I projecting from 30 to 40? And 40 to 50, and 50 to 60, and 60 to 70? But as soon as possible, you begin to project up 80, 90, 100. Where am I projecting my life to? So for example, I project my life to 120 years. And so we look at that and you say to yourself, well, if my life were a field, how would I manage this field to sustain the quality of life that I want for 120 years? What are the things that I need in my field? What are the things that I need in my life to sustain the life that I want to live for 120 years? So that's the next thing that comes, is after looking at your design, we look at the seed of family. What am I planting and cultivating with my family, with my children, with my parents, with my grandparents, with those close to me, with my romantic partner? What is the seed that I'm putting there? That is the seed. And so the seeds that we use, that we define, that we pick up based on what's the life that we want to live, what's the structure that I want to have within my family. This is what defines the structure of our path. So basically, it's the same teaching of that you reap what you sow. So what the teachings of the Amazon say is that if we look at the seeds of gratitude, we look at the seeds of being organized, of planning things out, of really planning things out, not just being haphazard, but being organized. So there's the seed of gratitude, there's the seed of organization, there's the seed of family. How do I organize my family? And so these three seeds determine a lot about how your life is actually structured. Not what you imagine it to be or make pretend it to be, but how you actually experience it. So the teaching is that when you go look at these three areas of your life, if you examine them closely, you'll be able to find areas that you can work on to improve the overall quality of your life. And then you begin to project and improve for all the years that you want to be here with. Rick, ¿algo que decir o?
Yeah, brother, I do. First of all, I'm just blown away by John Freddy, my gratitude for John Freddy. Muchísimas gracias por estar aquí, John Freddy, la verdad. It's a blessing to have you here, brother. for most of us, you know, creating a plan for the month or the year or for however, you know, much time into the future, it takes something to do that. And then to stick with that plan, right? And forget about getting to that plan if what's ahead of that is all of my complaints about why I can't have the life I want, or why she can't be this way, or why he can't be that way, or all of the things that are in the way of that plan and that constantly derail that plan. The first thing that Jon Freddy said, which I think is critical, is the seed of gratitude. Far too often, man, I wake up and I go throughout my days, and I know a lot of you guys will identify with this, and I'm not present to the miracle that my life is. Not present to what an absolute fucking blessing it is that I get to be alive right now, and that I get to have my health right now, or that I get to be with my children right now, or with my wife right now, or whatever it is that you get, that in this moment you get to live, or just that you get to be with yourself, that you have a life. And there's a lot in the way of that when I'm wishing it was different, that she was different, that the job was different, that the money was different, that the house was different, that the kids were different, that whatever was different. And so included in planting that seed of gratitude is really allowing your heart to open up and forgive whatever's in the way and ask to be forgiven. I think it's critical to clear that space so you can plant that seed, kind of prepare the soil so you can plant that seed. And then really get into taking those, like seeing your life as a design and then planning that out. And really looking at how that impacts your family. I see the family as the core. I always have. But just really powerful, man.
John, entonces, Rick estaba diciendo que hay varios puntos, pero para hacer un resumen, que es una cosa crear el plan y todo lo que eso requiere para crear el plan. Otra cosa es lo que requiere el compromiso con ese plan, día tras día, hacer el logro, el esfuerzo que se requiere para lograr el plan. También están las quejas, todas las quejas que nosotros ponemos externas, las culpas, las razones por qué esto no va a funcionar, o qué es lo que me está limitando, o que tal persona por tal razón. Entonces, Rick está haciendo un resumen que dice que lo que son las quejas y las frustraciones es una falta de perdón. Y que no tal vez es la queja ni la frustración que te está limitando, pero sino es tu falta de perdonar, que te tiene cogido bien limitado. ¿Ya? Entonces, la pregunta fuera, en el diseño de lo que es el hombre, ¿dónde juega el perdón? Sabiendo que hay peligro en la vida. Entonces, yo voy a ponerlo en inglés y después lo voy a hacer en tú lo vas a. So the summary of the question based on what Rick offered. And so the question is this: forgiveness. Where does forgiveness fall in the design of the masculine man? Knowing that there's dangers or perceived dangers in the world, how do we forgive and still be safe? Entonces, John, así mismo, ¿cómo es el perdón? ¿Cómo perdonamos sabiendo que hay peligros y uno todavía permanece a salvo?
Claro. ¿Qué es lo que pasa? Cuando hablamos de perdón, muchas veces pensamos, perdonemos a aquel que me hizo vivir una experiencia de dolor, una experiencia de trauma, una experiencia de abandono, una experiencia de olvido, una experiencia, digamos, en general, estas experiencias que causan un cambio y como un recuerdo dentro de nosotros, tanto físico, corporal, como también espiritual, ¿no?
So there are situations that we confront in life. There are people that we confront in life that cause us a hurt, a pain, a trauma. It could be physical, it could be mental, it could be emotional, it could be spiritual. Entonces hay estas personas en nuestra vida que nos causan una trama, un dolor físico, espiritual, emocional, mental.
Ajá. Y siempre es lo primero que nosotros observamos y sentimos, que es la persona que nos hizo mover esa energía, ¿sí? Pero, o sea, en lo cierto no es la persona, ¿sí? Esa persona vino a nosotros a remover esa energía, a podernos desequilibrar, ponernos molestos y demás, pero no, esas personas nos están enseñando que hay dentro de nosotros la oportunidad para uno mismo de crecer, ¿sí? Y poder pasar todos esos obstáculos, ¿sí? Hablando en general, para poder nosotros mismos empezar a empoderarnos. ¿Cómo? Con el perdón, pero de nosotros mismos.
Mm. So John is saying that these situations, these circumstances, these people that come up, that we hold accountable or we blame for our pain, our trauma, our limitation, our impact, whatever it is that's holding us back. We blame them and we see them as coming into our life to create pain, to bring us off our center, to bring a disturbance into our field, into our existence. But John's saying no, that's not what they're there for. They really came there to show us a lesson, to show us what's really inside of us. Because what they're triggering, what they're stimulating, that's what really needs to be healed. That thing that's being stimulated inside of you. And he's saying, how do we come into balance? How do we come into healing of this? Is through forgiveness. But it starts with forgiveness of myself. That was very deep. That was very strong. John, eso estuvo fuerte, hermano. Muchas gracias.
Un gusto.
Yeah. Vamos a tomar algunas preguntas en este momento, John, o tienes algo que quieres fluir?
Yo creo que si quieren vamos a las preguntas.
Okay. So, guys, if anyone has a specific question at this moment, it could be in reference to something that was already spoken about, or anything that's related to masculinity, to your search for your wholeness as a man within your divine masculine. Please feel free to drop a comment in the chat or in the comments on Facebook. We're here with you guys. I see John and Peter on Facebook, and Darren. Thank you, brothers, for being here with us on Facebook. Really appreciate it. We got Robert and Dane over there as well. Okay, so anyway, we're going to keep going. If you have a question, just drop it. Okay, here we go. We got one. Keep dropping questions, and as we'll go, we can always come back and answer them in a little bit. Entonces, John, aquí están preguntando, how can we forgive ourselves? ¿Cómo es que uno puede perdonarse a uno mismo? That's a great question. Una gran pregunta.
Bueno, es una buena pregunta, ¿sí? Es llegar a ese estado donde nosotros nos tenemos que reencontrar, ¿no? En ese reencuentro que uno hace es uno escucharse, ¿no? En un momento donde haya ese movimiento causado por alguien, es el momento de guardar como un silencio e irse al interior de uno, decir, ¿por qué me está incomodando esto? ¿Por qué estoy sintiendo esto? ¿Qué debo yo organizar? ¿Qué debo yo, digamos, trasladar y transmutar ese impacto que está entrando en mí, como yo dentro de esa gran estructura que nosotros podemos transmutar todo ese impacto y convertirlo en agradecimiento y amor?
Gracias, John. John is saying, how do we forgive ourselves? So the first step is an encounter. It's an encounter with yourself. So when you're in a situation where there's an impact, somebody comes and takes you off center, they move your energy in a triggering way. That's a moment to first to come into silence and to observe yourself, to go within yourself and ask, what am I feeling? Why am I feeling this? Where is this coming from? What does this remind me of? Not in this moment, but in another moment. Where's this memory coming from? Where's this trigger? and being able to see that energy and feel that energy, and then to transmute that energy, to transfer that energy through through adding a release, through adding a letting go, an acceptance, rather than lamenting or playing victim to the energy. We observe the energy, we see it. Okay, it's there. Oh, this reminds me of when I was 4 years old and my dad screamed at me. This reminds me when I was 16 years old and I spoke and I was completely ignored and then I was made fun of. That's the memory that's being triggered. That's the memory that I need to let go of. I need to forgive everything within me that's attached to that memory, whether it's an action from a past life, actions in this life that I create onto others that cause the same feeling. So it's a very honest encounter with yourself. What is it within me that's reflected in this memory? What is it within my behavior? What is it within my words? What is it within my actions that's also reflected in this behavior that's being shown to me through someone else? And that's how we go deep into ourselves. And once we can see that energy, once we understand where it's coming from, we can release it, we can transmutate it and just let it go. And then it's no longer there to block you. It's no longer there to be a limitation in your life, but rather from that point on, you stand in power because there you experienced it, you transmutated, you transferred that energy, and from there you can truly support someone else. When you encounter someone in the same spot, now you really know from experience. John, lo que yo agregué al final es que al final del día que cuando uno de verdad traslada y transmuta la energía, de ahí es cuando se para de verdad. Ya cuando uno de verdad tiene la experiencia, cuando puede decir, bueno, yo tuve esta experiencia y cuando llega otra persona parecida, uno ahí sí de verdad puede ayudar porque de ahí está parado, de la experiencia, no de la teoría.
Sí, para agregar algo es, basémonos a lo vivido, ¿sí? Lo que uno vive, lo que uno siente, experimenta, esas cosas es el tejido, es la estructura como tal, el diseño, el cual tú quieres, qué diseño quieres armar o qué tejido debes hacer. Entonces, cuando hay ese tejido, ¿sí? Empezando por uno mismo, ahí es donde empieza a llegar ese conocimiento y esa sabiduría para poder trasladarla a un punto de un amigo, de un familiar, empezando especialmente por casa, porque es como el primer templo que uno tiene para poder uno armar toda esa estructura, es la casa, ¿sí? Es la familia. Y de ahí, digamos, empezar a organizar eso y desde ahí empieza a trasladar a diferentes lugares porque es el diseño como tal que quieres hacer, ¿no? Entonces, se basa en ese tejido. ¿Qué queremos hacer nosotros día a día? ¿Cómo queremos nosotros hacer esa estructura? ¿Sí? Con una base muy sólida, muy resistente, de qué es lo vivido. ¿Sí? Lo vivido es la base fundamental para poder nosotros comprender y poder nosotros, digamos, caminar con esa conciencia.
So John is saying that when you come right down to it, that the only thing that matters is what you've lived. Not theory, not ideas, not feelings, what you've lived. That's what matters. A lo vivido is to what has been lived. And what we live is how we weave our life. How we weave our life is the design that we give it. And it starts with me. I am the center of my design. I am the only one that can decide how I'm going to weave the design that I want. When we are able to accept that is what I live that matters, that I can design, I can weave my own design, that it starts with me, that's when we begin. That is the beginning of entering into the door of knowledge. Once we have come into this door of knowledge, of knowing, where we are in acceptance of oneself as the beginning of all things in your life, as the directing force. Your decisions determine everything about your life. You come into the beginning of knowledge. From there, you build your first temple. The first temple is your home, your family. This is the base of everything. Once you have a temple built in your home, then you can begin to share with others, your other family members, other friends, those close to you, and expand your sharing of knowing of life. The idea is to build your life on a solid foundation, on a solid base. That means to build it on what you have lived. So the translation of this would be, do not build your life over lies. Do not build your life over sweet daydreams, over fantasies. And there's a lot that can be applied there, right? There's fantasies monetarily, sexual fantasies, fantasies about who you are versus really looking at who you are. So you live your life not on concept and not on theory, but you build your life on what you have lived. When you can build your life on a solid foundation, that's where you begin to enter the walk of consciousness or with consciousness. So the summary of this is that what you live is what matters. You can design, the tapestry of your life can be designed by you. It begins with accepting that you are responsible for your life. When you come into this knowing, you begin to build a temple in your home for your family. You define how you want to live your daily life. What does that look like? In design, in action, in thought, in words. And this life that you're living day by day will be the foundation of your life. When this foundation is based on truth, on what you truly live, you have begun a walk with consciousness. That's the summary. Wow, John. Muchas gracias, man.
Beautiful.
Damn. Hot.
Beautiful.
What you think, Greg?
Yo, man, it blew me away. All of it blew me away. But I wanted to say something to address, because this all started with the question of how do we forgive ourselves, just to bring it back. And that really became a blueprint for how to live your life. You know, when you live with shame, or when you live with guilt, or when you live with the fear that has brought you to make the decisions that you've made in your life, it's very difficult to see yourself and to come back to yourself and to go on this beautiful path that John and Carlos were just talking about. And so, you know, one of the things that was mentioned early on was, where do you go when you do that introspection? You start looking back in your life. Looking back in your life, not just at the things that you did, but the things that you perceived that were done to you. See, we learned our ceiling for being a man came from the men that we learned from. That's our floor and that's our ceiling. Same thing with the women. And so really getting that, what our parents went through, which I actually would like to ask this question of Jan, Freddy. What our parents went through, you know, what they went through, or your uncle or your grandfather or grandmother, or whomever it was that helped raise you. They all more than likely experienced their own set of traumas, and they grew up in a different time, different experiences, different circumstances that impacted them. And then they had us. And we're like, why didn't I grow up fucking trauma free? Why didn't you shield me from all the whatever? You know, and then we don't know why we acted the way we did, or why we were the asshole, or why we yelled, or why we retreated, or why we hid, or why we were ashamed, or why we couldn't figure out why this failure kept following me, or whatever it was, or whatever it is. But really getting back to that place where we can see our parents and our grandparents and really, you can keep going down the line, and appreciating that what they went through was their journey. And it's something for us to honor it and appreciate it and understand it, and really and really get it for what it was. And they really did do their best. And I think forgiving ourselves includes forgiving ourselves inside of our relationship with our parents and our grandparents and our ancestors. And so I'd like to ask John Freddy a question about, and I feel we need to move on, but I do want to ask him about how does forgiving ourselves relate to our parents and our grandparents and even our ancestors? John Freddy, entonces, or do you want to explain to him, brother, what I just said? Recap that.
I'll recap it, but you asked the question. Entonces, John, en resumen, lo que está compartiendo Rick, porque vamos ya a avanzar a otros temas, porque tenemos varias preguntas. Pero para resumir aquí con este punto de Rick. Rick dice que el hombre aprende del hombre que le enseña, ¿no? Entonces, el hombre que te enseñó, de ahí tú aprendiste. Ese aprendizaje que te dio ese hombre es tu techo y es tu piso, ¿verdad? Tu rango, tus limitaciones, por decirlo así. Entonces, uno de ahí va como diciendo, coño, pero ¿por qué no me protegieron? ¿Por qué no me evitaron que tuviera estos impactos? Pero la persona que nos crió, fuera mamá, papá, abuelo, abuela, tío, tía, la persona que nos crió también tuvo sus impactos, también tuvo sus traumas, ¿no? Entonces, Rick quiere hacer una pregunta a base de eso.
Claro.
Sí, entonces, John, mi pregunta es, porque creo que es importante regresar a realmente apreciar a nuestros padres, a nuestros ancestros, ¿no? Y agradecer a ellos por la vida que tenemos y cómo nos apoyaron a llegar aquí, ¿no? Entonces, perdonar a ellos y realmente aprender, no sé si es aprender, pero apreciar qué es lo que vivieron ellos, ¿no? Y cómo llegaron aquí a este punto de vida con nosotros, ¿no? Y ¿qué tan importante crees tú que es y cómo realmente puede uno a llegar a hacer eso? Porque para mucha gente, hablando de papá y mamá y abuelito y abuelita, es un tema muy difícil.
Sí, tienes razón.
So the question is, how do we, understanding that our relationships with our parents and our grandparents, etc., has such a fundamental impact on who we potentially get to be, you know, as men, as fathers, etc., in this lifetime. How do we get to a place where we get to really appreciate them, be grateful for them, and forgive them, so that we can then create the space for ourselves to move forward and create another ceiling, create another floor, create another life? Adelante, John.
Bueno, es muy importante. Entonces, basémonos volver a casa. ¿Sí? Cuando volvemos a casa tenemos el amor de padre y madre, ¿ya? Tenemos toda esa estructura, tenemos todas estas cosas que no entendemos, pero el punto donde debemos comprender es que solamente basta con agradecer. ¿Por qué? Porque ellos hicieron lo mejor que estuvo a su alcance, ¿sí? Lo mejor que ellos nos pudieron transmitir a través de todas las cosas que ellos vivieron, que no las sabemos, pero ellos hicieron un gran trabajo, que fue la madre, bueno, el padre, fecundarnos, ¿sí? La madre, hacer el portal de vida para traernos a este plano, ¿ya? Entonces, recordar eso es totalmente una ganancia. Entonces, dejar a un lado todas, digamos, frustraciones, limitaciones, dudas, miedos y demás, dejémoslo a un lado, ¿sí? Y cada cosa, tomémoslo como una herramienta de crecimiento, de empoderamiento y de superación, para hacerle honor a estos seres que nos dieron esa oportunidad de estar en este momento presente, en este momento que estamos ahora. Eso es honrar estas memorias y también todo nuestro linaje como tal. Eso es la oportunidad que tenemos de nosotros poder limpiar todas esas memorias y hacer reverencia a ellos desde un punto dulce, un punto muy consciente y un punto de amor. Tenemos la oportunidad y las herramientas para poder cambiar la historia, poder tener ese tejido al universo, a la creación, poder nosotros cambiar toda esa estructura que la vemos desde un punto malo, ¿sí? Pero no, todo es perfecto y todo se basa a este punto, al punto de caminar, vivir, caminar, agradecer y amar y perdonarnos a nosotros mismos, no a nadie, sino a nosotros mismos. Cuando nosotros perdonamos, todo alrededor empieza a vibrar desde otro punto, desde otra vista, desde otro plano. Todo está en uno, todo, ¿sí?
Un segundo. Mm. So the answer to answer Rick's question, John started out by saying that it begins with the return home. So the return home in the culture is the return to the heart. The great house, the big house of the Creator is my heart. So it is a return to the heart. When we return home, there we have the perfect love of our celestial mother and our celestial father. And there's a structure that we may not be aware of. We may not see this structure, but it exists. And within our life, there's also a structure. There's a cosmic structure to all things. So there's like a macro and a micro. But this structure is perfect. It flows from the celestial home, from our heart, from the love of our creators to the structure of our life. So whoever we feel did us a harm or a pain, or as Rick was saying, that they raised us, but they didn't shield us from trauma. In fact, they probably added to our pain. They probably added to our traumas. What John is saying is that we need to be grateful because they did the best that they could. They transmitted to us the best that they could because we don't know what they lived. We don't know what they went through. But we do know that every man and woman in our family tree that came together to bring us here made a great effort. There was a man that had to give his seed. There was a woman that had to be willing to be the portal for life to come into this world through her. And in the end, we have a physical mother and a physical father that also participated in this great effort to bring us here. By recognizing this effort that was made by our mother and father, by recognizing this effort, because regardless of the story, regardless of the story, at the end of the day, there's a seed that had to be given and a portal that had to be willing to receive it. And on the cosmic level, that's exactly what was happening. Two souls came together to be a channel for your soul. And that is a great effort. And when we can see the great effort that it took to bring us here, that alone is already a huge gain. Being able to see that, to recognize the effort, to have gratitude for the effort of my ancestors, the gratitude and the effort of my grandparents, of my parents. That is a release. That is a form of forgiveness. We put aside the traumas, we put aside the frustrations, we put aside the doubts. And what we see is that everything that has happened to me, every encounter, every person has been a tool that's been given to me. And I should take it as an instrument that I can use to grow, to empower myself. When we take situations, when we take people in our life and we see them as tools for growth and empowerment, we're making honor to our ancestors who made it possible for us to be here. When we take what happens in our life, the people, the situations, and we make them a tool for growth and empowerment, we're seizing an opportunity to clean our lineage, to heal our ancestral trauma, because the story is perpetuated. But we here have chosen to not perpetuate the story, but to rather grab a hold of it and use it as a tool, as an instrument that's going to help me grow, that's going to empower me. When I do that, I clean my lineage. I clean my ancestral memory. I do it in sweetness and with consciousness. The way that I choose to weave my tapestry is the way that I live my life. when I can see that everything that's happened to me is an opportunity and I can use it in sweetness and consciousness, I can forgive myself. When I forgive myself, everything changes around me. The entire structure of my entire life begins to vibrate in a different way. And I see that everything has always been perfect. You walk, you live, and you grow. You forgive yourself, and you begin to see life from another point of view. You experience it from a different plane, and you realize that all of the universe, all of the cosmos, all of existence has always been and will always be inside of you.
Beautiful.
Muchas gracias, John.
Wow. Muchas gracias, hermano.
Yeah.
Gracias.
You want to move on to the next question?
Yeah, because we could be here, we could sit in silence for
For sure.
5 minutes just reflecting on that. So let's go. Entonces, John, podemos estar aquí 5 minutos más solo reflejando en silencio. Like you feel the energy, la energía se siente, right? Pero
Sí.
right, we have about 20 more minutes, so vamos a hacer unas preguntas que tenemos aquí. Bueno, aquí el hermano dice, mientras que estamos caminando, ¿no? En esta bella expansión de conocimiento, aparenta haber un conflicto, una confrontación con la masculina divina, ¿no? La divinidad femenina, perdón, la divinidad femenina. Encontrando paciencia, perdón, no es inmediato. Si hay alguna forma de apoyar en silenciar el ego, está bienvenida la guía, dice el señor John.
Claro.
So any help with quieting. So the question is, moving along in this beautiful expanded awareness, there seems to be a clash with divine feminine. Finding patience and forgiveness is not immediate. Any help in quieting ego is welcome. Okay, John, diga, hermano.
Pues es el mayor maestro que tenemos a nuestro lado. Entonces, siempre ese maestro nos va a tocar nos va a hacer vibrar esas energías, digamos, donde uno no entiende muchas veces, pero tengamos en cuenta que todo es una oportunidad, ¿sí? El universo, la creación, siempre nos manda señales. A cada instante nos está dando las señales, nos está hablando. A través de las personas, a través, si una hoja se cae, si un pájaro canta, todo, o sea, una mascota está en casa, siempre la creación nos está dando esa gran oportunidad de enseñanza, de aprendizaje. Entonces, esta energía femenina como tal es una energía maravillosa, ¿sí? Tenerla al lado de uno es una gran bendición y una gran ayuda, porque todo se basa en poder uno ayudar, ¿sí? Ayudarse a uno mismo para poder entender, ¿sí? Esta otra energía. ¿Por qué? Porque somos hijos de una energía femenina, ¿sí? Tenemos esas dos energías dentro de nosotros. Entonces, como hace parte de la energía de nuestra madre, la madre, ¿qué quiere para nosotros? Lo mejor, ¿ya? Entonces, basémonos en recordar que nuestra madre siempre quiere y va a querer lo mejor. Esté físicamente, esté energéticamente, astralmente, siempre va a querer para nosotros lo mejor, ¿ya? Esa energía nos acompaña toda nuestra existencia. Entonces, ¿cómo nosotros podemos también ver este gran ser como un gran maestro? Como un gran maestro que nos lleva a ese límite, nos muestra todo eso que nosotros mismos tenemos dentro y que debemos nosotros tomar esa gran oportunidad como enseñanza de entendimiento y superación, ¿ya?
Entonces, John is saying, I ran out of paper. Stop. Entonces, John is saying that the woman is the feminine energy is the great master. Mayor. Mayor is like the top, right? Like major, you know. And this master comes to vibrate these energies, and we don't always understand why that they're moving our energies this way, you know. Um, but what we have to understand is that the universe is always talking to us. The universe, she's always sending us messages, and having a divine feminine is an opportunity to listen to these messages. Everything in life, whether it's a leaf falling, the song of a bird, a pet that's at home, is a message from creation. It's a lesson. And feminine energy is a blessing. It is a blessing that comes here to help. The feminine energy helps the masculine energy understand itself. It comes so that we can then, as we understand ourselves, we come into balance, we come into accord with the universe. What is the feminine energy? The feminine energy is the energy of mother. It's the energy of creation. And what does the mother want for her children? She wants the absolute best always. We, as men, are sons of a feminine energy. And we carry with us both masculine and feminine energy. But we need to remember that the mother energy always wants what's best for us. And she could be here physically, she could be in the astros, in the cosmos, in the water. It could be your celestial mother, it could be your biological mother, it could be the person, the woman that raised you. But this feminine energy through all of creation is always with you. It accompanies us because it is a great master that helps us see. It brings us into the entrance of wisdom. It brings us into the entrance of being able to live life in balance. Feminine energy brings the mirror that the man needs to truly see himself, with the opportunity to grow, with the opportunity to come into wisdom and connection with all of creation. Yeah. To come into healing as well. Feminine energy is here for us for the masculine energy to come into healing. Muchas gracias, hermano. Rick, I'm going to go on to the next question, or?
No, go for it, brother. You know what? I'll say one tiny little thing about that. You know, the women that are in our lives, they also had parents that were a disappointment or that challenged them or created traumas or whatever it is, right? It's not like we didn't follow that suit. We also perpetrate what we perpetrate upon them. Too often we get, I don't know, we feel the impact of their judgment or whatever you want to call it. But I think it's important for us to just remember, you know, where they came from also and the impact that we have on them. Because none of it's in a vacuum. Humility, I think, is what for me gets created inside of that understanding. But anyway, that's it, brother.
Yeah, well, it all comes back to that forgiveness and that release, right? I mean, you can get stuck on the trauma or the pain, or you can shift. You can make the conscious shift to the teacher, the mirror, the lesson, right? I mean, she could be the craziest, most difficult woman in the world that truly needs medical help, right? That doesn't negate that, but if she's in your life, there's a mirror, there's a lesson there. So instead of blaming her or being angry at her, take the lesson, take the mirror. You know, it doesn't mean you have to expose yourself to a toxic environment. I'm not saying that. But in a safe space where you're not in danger or being abused, you have to still look at that and say, hey, you know what? Yeah, this happened, and I could blame her for how I'm feeling, or I can empower myself by looking at her as a mirror, as a lesson, as an opportunity. You know, let's say something really real, bro. Let's say something really real. A lot of dudes be like, she used me, you know, she took my money, or she just wanted my time, you know, and then when she was done with me, she left me. But bro, were you simping the whole time? Like, like were you licking her shoes the whole time? Like we don't take responsibility for ourselves. Like in other words, like were you being a carpet, bro? Like were you intentionally letting this woman walk all over you? And then you're crying about that she used you. No, bro, you literally laid down in the mud the whole time and let her walk all over you. That was your choice. That's not on her. She was being who she is, right? You're just upset because who she was wasn't who you wanted her to be. But what's the lesson in it for me, right? What's the mirror? So I think we need to look at the relationships with women like that. Yeah, okay, she's acting a certain way, she's being a certain way, but what am I doing? You know, what am I doing? You know, where's my, am I holding myself as a compassionate man, or am I being a rug and a doormat, or am I being too much like my dad and indifferent? Right? Where am I at? Where am I at right now? And that's what we need to address. Where I'm at. Doesn't matter where she's at. It's where I'm at that matters. What am I doing to empower myself? What am I doing to take care of me so that I can show up for me in a way that allows me to show up for others, for her.
That's church.
You know. Bueno, next question. Let's go to the next question.
Yeah.
Próxima pregunta, John. All right. So our brother here is asking, how do you find balance between doing something that supports your family and provides the type of life and opportunities that you want for them, and doing something that would be in better alignment for you personally, but that would not provide the same opportunity for your kids and family? Okay. John, hermano.
Sí.
Ok. Entonces, la pregunta esta, dice aquí el hermano, ¿cómo yo encuentro un balance entre un labor, ¿verdad?, que apoya a mi familia y le da el tipo de vida y oportunidades que yo quiero para ellos, versus haciendo otro labor que está más alineado con mí personalmente, pero que no va a proveer de la misma forma en oportunidades para los niños y la familia?
Bueno, esto se basa como en el equilibrio, ¿no? Tenemos que tener en cuenta que todo se debe de hacer en equilibrio, ¿no? Entonces, debemos entender que nosotros debemos reencontrarnos con esa conexión espiritual, ¿no? Cuando nosotros nos encontramos con esa conexión espiritual, todo lo otro empieza a fluir, porque ya está dándose tu tiempo para poder estudiarse a uno mismo y poder entender y moverlo desde ese punto de conciencia, ¿sí? Desde el espíritu. Entonces, estamos nosotros en la mitad, ¿sí? Entre el espíritu y esta parte que es la materia, la cual siempre tenemos que estar conectados, ¿no? Todo esto se vive cada día, porque cada día nosotros vivimos, cada día trae sus retos, trae cosas que uno no sabe qué va a pasar, pero cada día es un gran día, cada día es una oportunidad para nosotros poder encontrar ese equilibrio entre nuestra labor, nuestra arte, y entre nosotros interiormente como tal, la conexión espiritual, ¿no? Entonces ahí es donde nosotros tenemos de llegar a conectar, volver a casa, conectarnos espiritualmente y desde allí empezar nosotros a buscar ese diseño, el cual nosotros podemos alimentar, ¿sí? Desde este lado, pero yendo al espíritu a hacer el trabajo como tal dentro de nosotros, para poder allí nosotros poder traer todas esas vivencias, todas esas experiencias a este punto, para que haya así una gran herramienta de superación y de armonía y de conciencia.
John is saying that this question, the answer starts with equilibrium. That everything that we do in life, we should do in balance. The beginning of balance, according to the culture, starts with a re-encounter of ourselves and our spirit. Connecting ourselves with our spirit, our heart with our spirit. So What this is saying is that we want to live from the heart space. We don't want to live from the mind space. Okay, so what this is saying is that we take time to ask nature, to ask the creator, to ask our ancestors, to ask ourselves that please move my consciousness into my heart space. I'm constantly working on making that connection healthier, stronger between spirit and heart. When everything is connected to the heart center, when we truly live from the heart, not from the fears of the mind or the voices, when we live from the intuition of the heart, everything else begins to flow all around us. To achieve this, we should take time on a regular basis to study ourselves, to take time to sit and reflect within ourselves so that we can have an awareness of where is my point of consciousness? What am I thinking about? What am I reflecting on? Because through this point of consciousness, as I connect my consciousness to my spirit, I can direct my entire life. We live in the middle between the spirit and the material world. And in every life, every day brings its own challenges that we don't know what's going to happen. But within that, every day also brings, there's a greatness with every day. And there's a great opportunity every day where we can encounter equilibrium between our work, our art, and ourselves, our own consciousness. We should work to satisfy the spirit. We can discover what is the work that satisfies our spirit by returning home, by returning to our heart space. When we search for our purpose, when we search for our art, when we search for our work from the heart space, directing our intention with consciousness, there is where we begin to manifest. We bring all our power, all our celestial treasures, we manifest them here. How? By returning to the heart space, by connecting heart to spirit, by directing that all my intentions be in service of spirit, and by searching for my purpose from this point of view. And there I begin to manifest because all the energy will flow in conspiracy to manifest that which I've connected to my heart and put as my point of conscious intention in connection with the great spirit. And this is what brings us home. This is what can help you bring balance into your work and into your family. Wow, muchas gracias, John.
Gracias.
Okay, entonces aquí we have some more questions. I'm going to go from Facebook now to the chat questions. Okay. Entonces, a lot of people want peace to prevail on earth. Men perpetrate most of the violence. If peace prevails on earth, violence will not exist, at least human to human violence. What do teachings say about this? John, entonces aquí el hermano dice que muchas personas quieren paz sobre la tierra, pero que el hombre masculino, es el que perpetúa la mayor parte de la violencia. Si la paz es lo que existe en la tierra, entonces la violencia, por lo menos violencia de humano contra humano, no va a existir. ¿Qué dicen las enseñanzas de los abuelos sobre esto?
Bueno, sabemos que, pues, que el mundo está lleno de bastantes cosas que uno vive a diario, ¿no? Pero allí es donde nosotros, cuando empezamos nosotros a buscar esa conciencia, esa conexión, ¿sí?, que está dentro de nosotros mismos, nosotros empezamos a abandonar esa parte que es la violencia, ¿sí? Abandonar todas estas informaciones que llegan día a día, ¿sí?, creadas por el hombre, ¿ya?, en un punto doloroso, en un punto traumático y demás, ¿no? Cuando empezamos nosotros a buscar esa conciencia, ese reencuentro con nosotros mismos, esa parte ya, esa energía empieza a perder fuerza, ¿sí? Entonces, para poder nosotros encontrar esa paz de que tanto uno escucha, por eso nos basamos a lo que empezamos, es nosotros mismos, ¿sí? Encontrar la paz primero en nosotros, ¿sí? Y así, desde eso se hace una vibración, ¿sí? Cuando tú encuentras paz, estás vibrando en eso. Entonces esa vibración se está expandiendo, expandiendo. Y no solamente estás tú encontrando la paz, esa conexión consigo mismo, sino estás ayudando a muchos metros de distancia que nos rodea para poder así ayudar a despertar y a ser parte de este movimiento de conciencia.
Okay. John is saying that the world is full of a lot of things, right? And we face a lot of issues on a daily basis. This all starts where we started at the beginning, which is to find consciousness and connection with creation that already exists inside of you. Once I, as a sentient being, begin to search for consciousness, and I begin to search for that internal connection between me and creation, that internal connection between me and creation, my being, my essence, begins to abandon violence. It begins to abandon all the information created by man, the noise, the distractions, all the things that create pain and division and separation. When I begin to search for consciousness and my internal connection with spirit, with creation, I begin to abandon all this energy on its own. It can no longer live, it can't cohabitate with you any longer. That energy, as you begin to re-encounter yourself, begins to lose potency. It loses force, it loses strength. In order for us to find this peace that we all desire for the world, it is to first find this peace within myself. As I begin to vibrate in peace within myself, this energy expands. And now I'm no longer in vibrating peace for myself. I'm transmitting that meters, miles, countries, distances to other worlds. And there I'm helping to provide peace. I am helping to be a part of this life where we live in true consciousness. Rick, is there something you want to add, brother?
No, brother, I was just completely moved by that. Gracias, John.
Gracias.
Entonces, make sure me go up. John, so the next question is, what do the teachings say about same-sex relationships in this life on earth? John, la pregunta aquí es, ¿qué es lo que dicen las enseñanzas sobre relaciones entre el mismo sexo aquí en la Tierra, en esta vida en la Tierra?
Bueno, es algo libre, ¿no? ¿Sí? Es algo que no debemos nosotros desconocer, porque hay algo que viene a enseñar, ¿sí? En esta estructura. No solamente en los tiempos de antes era como algo muy fuerte por mirar, pero en estos tiempos todo se basa en vivir estas cosas que pasan y demás. Pero también encontramos una gran enseñanza, ¿sí? Que no sabemos, estos seres, tiene que haber algo más allá que solamente estas personas que están allí en este momento, moviéndose en esta energía, pueden comprender y los puede hacer sentir felices. Y eso es todo, digamos, lo que se puede compartir desde este punto es perfecto, ¿no? Porque no podemos nosotros encontrar juzgar algo que nosotros no lo vivimos, ¿sí? Están enseñándonos una parte donde todo es perfecto, donde todo es una conexión, independientemente de creencias, de estructuras y demás, ahí lo que hay es simplemente una gran enseñanza, una gran oportunidad de poder que estas personas viven, experimentan este estado, digamos, con estas dos energías encontrándose. Para nosotros es algo de que es perfecto, ¿ya? De que no sentir
Ninguna pena, ni
ninguna
ningún...
pena, o sea, o nada de esto, porque al igual ellos son los que están viviendo, son los que están sintiendo, son los que están siendo felices. Entonces, yo, digamos, en este punto digo, todo es perfecto y Dios los bendiga porque es algo también que es un tejido y es un diseño que ha existido durante miles de años, entonces no es de ahora, es perfecto.
Sí, sí, y no es algo que impide que uno sea hombre tampoco.
Exactamente.
Yeah. So one of the first things is that, speaking about men, because that's the subject here. A gay man isn't any less of a man. Just because a man is a homosexual doesn't, in no way redefines him as his masculinity. We choose our masculinity, how much of our masculinity we want to exhibit, how much of our masculinity we want to live in, regardless of our sexual preference. So John is saying that the lessons of same-sex relationships in the past were very strong. It was something that was responded to in a very difficult way, negative way, violent way, unaccepting way in the world as we know it. But he's saying that in these times, we have the opportunity to see that it's a great lesson, because we can never judge what we've never lived. We cannot judge what we have not experienced. And if you're not a person that's attracted to the same sex, you have no way of knowing what that person is living. You have no way of knowing where they're finding their happiness, what lessons they have access to that you don't. What are they experiencing about life that you as a heterosexual cannot experience? So there's a beautiful lesson that's being shown to us by same-sex relationships. One is the understanding that we don't know everything, that there's other ways to live life that bring joy, that bring connection, that we're not connected to, and that we shouldn't judge it. Everything in creation is perfect. The lesson to not judge is very important, because we judge, but we don't know that person. Where are they feeling their happiness? Where are they feeling their connection? It's important to live life without shame. So don't shame yourself and don't shame others. It's important to live from a point of view of no judgment, but rather accepting life as a great design that's come here to teach us, and then to have an open heart to receive these lessons, because everything is perfect and we're all connected. Everything is connected. So if everything is connected, it's all a part of me and I'm a part of it. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Bueno. Entonces, one, two, so we have two more questions, and then we have some tools that we want to talk to you about, some things that you can work with in your home, what's accessible to you. We're going to talk a little bit about how to work with tobacco, how to work with copal, and a few other tools that you can use in your life to connect more with nature, to have these spiritual tools on your path, to be your own healer, to be your guide, to strengthen yourself. So we'll answer these two other questions, and then we'll start talking a little bit about tools that we can use to empower our divine masculinity and heal it. Entonces, John, vamos a hacer 2 preguntas más y de ahí vamos a hablar sobre las herramientas que los hombres pueden usar, ¿no? Que tienen a su disposición en su hogar o en su casa. Entonces, la próxima pregunta aquí es suggestions on bringing spirit to our heart, space, daily practices, etc. Entonces, John, aquí están preguntando que una sugerencia para traer el espíritu hacia el corazón. Lo que yo estoy entendiendo aquí es traer el espíritu al corazón es conectar el espíritu con el corazón. Esa conexión y prácticas diarias que uno puede aplicar para fortalecer esta conexión entre el espíritu y el corazón. Así estamos.
Vale. Conectar lo espiritual aquí dentro de nosotros es algo que hay memorias. Ya digamos, nuestros antepasados dejaron memorias a todos nosotros, ¿sí? Independientemente como seamos, de donde seamos, siempre ellos dejaron esas memorias para nosotros recordar, ¿no? ¿Cómo activar? ¿Qué nos enseña a nosotros la planta? Entonces la planta a nosotros nos reconecta, nos reencontramos, ¿sí? En esa inmensidad, en ese misterio tan profundo de que es la purificación y toda esta curación y movimiento de energía de conciencia. Todo ello, digamos, se trae aquí a la vida porque somos medicina, ¿sí? Todos nosotros somos parte. Siempre recordemos que somos creados de la misma manera de la creación, de la naturaleza, junto con todas esas memorias, espíritus y todos nuestros ancestros y demás. Cómo nosotros recordar día a día, siempre, buscar un espacio, ¿sí? Antes de que empiece el día, empezar a proyectar, ¿sí? Empezar a recordar, empezar a traer todas esas memorias en nuestro momento para el día a día, poder nosotros vivirlo. Entonces, todo lo que tú proyectes, empezando un día, siempre es formar ese hábito en oración, en meditación, en yoga, ¿sí? Si tenemos plantas que son herramientas como el rapé, el mambe, el tabaco, saumerio y demás, también se complementan, pero en especial es uno mismo, ¿sí? Buscar el espacio al empezar el día, cuál es nuestra proyección este nuevo día, porque es un presente, el cual se llama presente porque hay que vivirlo al máximo y hay que nosotros entender de que es un presente que debemos vivir en plena libertad y en plena armonía y amor. Uh-huh.
John is saying that the connection with ourselves, that there's memories that the ancestors have left, regardless of what our lineage is. We all have ancestors. And in everyone's lineage, we all have ancestors that have done spiritual work at some time or another. And they left for us these memories to show us how to activate ourselves, how to activate our lineage. When we have an encounter with the Yahe, a plant medicine encounter with the Yahe, we come into the knowing of the deep mysteries, into the healing and to the purification. But we have to remember that just as the Yahe is medicine, we are all medicine as well. We were all created, each one of us, each one of you. We have been created in the exact same way as all of nature was created, all the great spirits, all the ancestors, with the same care, with the same design, with the same detail that all of creation holds was used to create us individually. In order to connect with these memories, we have to do the day-to-day practice. Every day it's important before you begin your day to find a space where you sit quietly and you begin to recall your ancestors and begin to call forward their memory, asking them to bring you the ancestral memory, to bring you the activation, where you then begin to project your day. It's important that we project our day, that we develop this habit of prayer and meditation every morning. Yoga, plants, breath work, these are all complementary tools which are excellent. But the main instrument is you. You have to project your day at the beginning of the day and be present in that projection. Because to be present means to be there in the moment, to press into it with intention, presence, to press into it with intention. When we are present in our projection, when we carry that energy with us, it allows us to live free and it allows us to live in love. Muchas gracias, John.
Gracias.
So we're going to go, vamos a ir a la, Rick, is there anything you want to add, brother?
Man, honestly, I want to add a lot, but I know we got this question and we have more to go.
Yeah.
So let's move on.
Okay.
Yeah.
After many plant ceremonies, working with ego, dissolving, purifying, and building back, I am now in a place where I'm playing small. I have shrank down, suppressing the ego so that I am not that guy who is the center of attention, the one always talking, not being self-centered, egotistical, or narcissistic. How do we strike that harmony of stepping into our power and divinity and overcome that imposter syndrome? In gatherings, I am the one who is talking from that heart space in continuous flow, but then hear a voice telling me to stop and not be that guy. Who do I think I am? As if I now suffer from reverse ego. I have been working so inward for a long time, finding that outward balance of power is where I'm at. If that makes sense. Any thoughts to help untangle this? Entonces, John, el hermano dice aquí que él ha pasado por muchas ceremonias de las plantas, ha trabajado mucho con disolver el ego, purificar, desconstruirlo, reconstruirlo, y que él ha llegado a un momento en su vida que se ha disminuido él mismo, ¿no? Se ha hecho chiquito, porque él no quiere ser ese tipo, ¿no? El tipo que siempre está hablando, que cuando llega a un lugar es el centro de atención, egotístico, narcisístico. Él está preguntando cómo yo llego a un punto de armonía entre estar en mi poder y mi divinidad y no ser falso, no ser como un hipócrita, ¿verdad? Yo me encuentro ahora en situaciones que estoy hablando del corazón, influyendo del corazón, pero escucho una voz que me dice, ¿quién piensas que tú eres? Deja de hablar. Entonces ahora me encuentro como si estoy sufriendo de un ego, pero al inverso, ¿no? Invertido. Entonces, por mucho tiempo yo he estado trabajando internamente, pero ahora busco ese balance de poder entre mi interno y mi externo para poder fluir del corazón, pero tampoco tener ese centro de atención.
Bueno, siempre nosotros formamos hábitos, estructuras durante mucho tiempo, ¿sí? Y cuando nosotros decidimos cambiar, llegar a una conciencia, caminar desde ahí, pues siempre eso nos va a acompañar ahí, digamos, en la mente, desde una parte que simplemente te está hablando, te está diciendo, bueno, pero ¿por qué está ahí? ¿Por qué no sé qué? Sí, eso es normal y a todos nos pasa, ¿no? Pero es la oportunidad que nos está dando nuestra esencia de poder nosotros cada día conectarnos más allá de eso y dejar la mente a un lado, ¿sí? El pensamiento siempre va a existir porque es natural, ¿sí? Del ser humano. Pero ese pensamiento, cuando llega y demás, es recordar, ¿sí? Recordar que dentro de nosotros se puede lograr ese gran cambio y ese gran diseño que nosotros aspiramos y queremos, porque ya de la forma que estás vibrando, que estás pidiendo a la creación, al universo, eso se está manifestando. Entonces, esa parte, claro, la mente misma te da un empoderamiento de superación. Y eso tiene que existir y tiene que haberlo ahí para poder uno a sí mismo ir buscando la forma, el diseño y poder así nosotros organizar esa parte, porque hubieron bastante, ese diseño, esa estructura estuvo ahí bastante tiempo y cambiarla, siempre la mente y el cuerpo se siente como desubicado, pero no es solamente mente, yo creo que lo que más se debe hacer es sentir, ¿sí? Sentir el corazón, hablar cuando realmente uno vea que es el momento. De resto, digamos, la mente tenerla ahí como en silencio, pero ¿cómo se logra esto? A través, la mente ir creando cosas positivas, ¿sí? Positivas siempre, siempre ser muy, digamos, ahí en ese, encontrando ese tejido, ¿sí? Y haciéndolo cada vez, no es fácil, ¿sí? Porque si fuera fácil, bueno, pero estamos, estamos siendo parte del equilibrio y eso es lo que interesa en este punto, que llegamos al equilibrio, tenemos esa conexión y la mente siempre va a estar, pero nosotros ya estamos haciendo el trabajo, haciendo el tejido. Entonces es irnos por ahí y la mente sí, que viene, sí viene, pero ahí es donde cuando venga no permitir, digamos, sino sentir, sentir más dentro de nosotros y poder así uno irradiar y cada día ir del pequeño, digamos, de lo más pequeño, ir transformando eso más pequeño y después más grandecito y empezar a formar esa estructura para sí mismo que esas cosas no tengan espacio para que nos vengan y nos otra vez como nos confundan. Pero es estar ahí. Estamos buscando un cambio, estamos buscando un diseño y estamos buscando un equilibrio. Y eso es todo lo que hay que recordar. ¿Ya?
What John is saying is that first of all, is that we have to remember that we're in search, right? We're in a search for balance, and the fact that we have an active search going on is very important. Um, he's saying that over lifetimes, not just this lifetime, but including this lifetime, we have built habits and we have built structures, belief systems. And when we come to a time in our life where we decide to create change, there then has to be a process for change. It's a deconstruction, as our brother here was saying. You unbuild, you deconstruct, you dissolve, um, as you begin to change, or you decide that you want to change these old habits and structures. However, as you have this walk and you're walking towards this change, these thoughts will always be with you. They're always going to accompany you. They're always going to talk, and that's normal. That's normal to hear this. It happens to all of us. But this dialogue is actually an opportunity that comes from our essence to connect beyond the noise, to leave these thoughts aside, and to return to your heart. So what is that saying? Is that to be authentic, expressing yourself from a place of authenticity, is to have no thought, is to only flow from the heart. Once the mind comes in, it's now interrupting your authenticity. It's now bringing in critique. It's now bringing in judgment. It's now bringing in limitations. So if you speak from the heart, like in this case, then flow from the heart. When the heart says it's done speaking, then it's done speaking. When the heart says it wants to start speaking, then start speaking. Not to use the analytical mind to direct the flow of the heart, but rather to use the flow of the heart to direct your entire being. So when these thoughts come up, it's an opportunity given to us by our essence to go beyond the noise, to leave the thoughts aside, to reconnect inside of ourselves. Because inside of ourselves is where we unlock the potency to achieve great change in design. So we achieve great change in design in our lives, not by the mind, but rather through the heart. And in your specific case, brother, he says that you're already vibrating on this level, that your vibration is already manifesting this. For all of us, John is saying that the mind helps us grow. The mind helps us design and organize. And it helps us strategically plan the change. In other words, so if I need to change my weight habits, I use my mind to strategize my meals, my meal planning, my workout routine, and how to incorporate it into my life. But we have to understand also that every time that we embrace change, there's a moment in the process where both our mind and our bodies feel unstable. Regardless of where you're at in the process, there's always going to be the voice of the mind. Part of this process is to learn to silence the mind and to live from the heart. We use our mind to create positivity. We use our mind to help us organize, but do not let it lead. Lead from the heart, live from the heart, and make decisions from the heart. It's not easy because if it were easy, we'd all be doing it. However, living from the heart and using the mind strategically is part of balance. What matters right now is that we keep doing the work. Thoughts will always be there, but thoughts are not you. You don't have to own your thoughts. You don't have to live in the thoughts, and you don't have to entertain them. When thoughts come up that are negative or loud or disruptive, you can ask them to leave. You can change your thought and think about something else. You can think about horses or tigers. You can think about riding a bicycle, something that makes you feel good. You can put on a song. You can go into a prayer, into a meditation, but you don't have to stay connected to that thought. You can come back into your heart and use any mental trick to just, even watching a cartoon or watching a comedy skit, something that puts you in a higher vibration than what the thought is limiting you to, so that you live from the heart. He says, begin designing your life from small things, small changes, small observations. And when you have these small things mastered, then you go on to bigger things and bigger things, so that you go step by step, building a firm foundation in your change. Don't rush into your change, but rather observe it. Use your mind to strategically design the change, but allow your heart to guide the plan and to go forward. Because what matters is that we keep doing the work. Wow, John, muchas gracias, hermano.
Bueno, gracias.
Yeah. Rick, is there something you want to add before we go into a few tools?
I do really quickly. I just kind of want to recap a couple of things. I've always thought that the greatest difference between one human being and another is the way that we relate to reality. And I think the underlying context for that inside of this conversation is relating to reality, as John Freddy is putting it, as all of the things that are happening, they are all happening for us. Every single thing that happens, whether you hear a song from a bird or a leaf blow or whatever it is that's happening in our space, that it's actually happening for us. And there's an opportunity for us to learn from that. Whatever that thing is, whether it's your wife or your girlfriend or your partner or work or your mind or the thoughts that come with it, all of it is for us. And that fundamental relationship to reality, I think, is critical inside of this conversation, and something that we've been talking about but haven't specifically addressed it in this particular kind of way. So it's something I wanted to bring to the conversation before we moved on. And then finally, just moving into that heart space, for me, it's been a challenge to move in there and to really listen to it, to really listen to that intuition, to get, like, really, our mind is really loud, but our heart speaks in a whisper. You know, sometimes it's really loud and we don't even have to think about it, but most of the time it's a whisper. And that intuitive, heart-guided whisper is something that takes practice. And the more you tune into it and the more you practice, the greater your sensitivity is to that whisper from your heart. So I wanted to mention that. And that was it, brother. Yeah.
Amen, brother. John, ahí Rick estaba diciendo al final que el corazón habla a través de un suspiro. Y entonces uno tiene que pulirse y abrirse a ser sensible, a escuchar ese suspiro, porque esa es la guía de vida de verdad, ¿no? Ese suspiro del corazón. So we're going to talk a little bit now about some tools that we as men can use in our homes. They're immediately accessible to us, and how the ancestors recommend that we use these tools and what they're good for. John, entonces vamos a hablar un poquito de herramientas. So we're closing now. We got maybe about 5 more minutes. So just hang out for a few more minutes and we'll bring you home soon. John, entonces ya vamos a cerrar como en 5 minutos más o menos. Entonces vamos a hablar un poquito de herramientas, ¿no? ¿Cuáles son las herramientas que tenemos en nuestro hogar que podemos usar como hombres que están a nuestro alcance para mejorar, para sanar, para crecer?
Bueno, nuestra primera herramienta somos nosotros mismos, ¿no?
Our first tool is ourself.
Lo segundo, en todo lugar hay plantas.
The second tools that we have that are everywhere in the world are plants.
Es siempre coger estas plantas como una herramienta que son aliadas de nosotros.
Plants are allies. They're our allies and tools for us to use.
Y hacer baños.
We can create plant baths, make plant baths.
Esos baños, cuando estemos ahí, vamos a punto de nosotros poder que se activen esas memorias de fortalecimiento, de conciencia, de amor, de gratitud, de abundancia.
The plant baths activate the memory, the energy of gratitude, of the ancestors, of abundance, of health, of joy.
Lo importante es la intención en ese momento.
What's important is the intention that we place behind it in that moment.
¿Por qué me voy a hacer este baño?
Why am I going to use this plant bath?
Porque quiero reencontrarme y recordar con la naturaleza.
Why do I want to re-encounter with myself? Why do I want to have a re-encounter in the connection with nature,
Con la creación.
with creation?
Porque recordemos que somos parte de la creación.
We have to remember that we are part of creation.
Entonces ellas nos escuchan,
And she listens to
conocen
us,
nuestros pensamientos,
to our thoughts,
conocen nuestras emociones, sensaciones y todo lo que se mueve en nuestras vidas.
every sensation, everything that moves in our lives.
En ese momento es la intención.
In that moment, we place the intention.
¿Por qué lo voy a hacer?
Why am I going to do this?
Pedirle a la creación, al universo, ese instante.
And to ask in that moment, that instant, ask of creation, ask of the universe.
Y ahí empezar a hacer el baño.
And there, you begin to prepare the bath.
También tenemos lo que es la oración, la
Prayer
meditación,
and
yoga.
meditation and yoga, breathwork are important tools.
Todo eso hace parte de esa
All these
herramienta. Y es muy
They're
bueno.
part, these are very good tools. They're part of what you can use to grow.
También ya existe el tabaco, que también se debe tener una intención, porque lo voy a hacer para limpiarme, para que me ayude en este proyecto, en todo lo que nosotros queramos. Todas estas herramientas nos escuchan.
There's the use of tobacco in a sacred way as a tool that can open doors and paths for you. These tools, they listen to you.
También está
John, dame un segundo, John. Voy a elaborar un poquito sobre el tabaco y los baños, ¿verdad?
Vale.
So we're gonna talk a little bit about plant baths and tobacco for a second. Practical use. So the plant baths, you have bitter baths and you have sweet baths. Okay, and typically the standard protocol is that you do 3 days of bitter baths, you take a day off, and then you do 3 days of sweet bath. It's important to remember that for every day of bitter bath, you follow with a day of sweet bath. Now, the most simple bitter plant that you can use is tobacco. And the most simple sweet plant that you can use is basil. And you use the bitter baths to clean fatigue, to remove heaviness, to remove burden, to clean and to cleanse. And then we use the sweet bath to attract the right relationships, the right thoughts, the right energies into our life. You prepare them both the same way. You prepare them both in a simple way. It's like making a tea. You take your tobacco, you take your basil, and you connect to the energy, to the spirit of that plant, asking for the support, for the intention, as John was saying. And you ask the creator to support you, to activate the consciousness of that plant, to heal you, to bring you wisdom, to bring you the connection to self and to nature. And so you boil the water. When the water is boiling, you add the plant, you break it up, whether it's a cigar or the basil, you just break it up into the water. You put it on low, you cover it for 45 minutes, you let it cool, Once it cools, you strain it, and then you can put it away in a container in the refrigerator. Then every day when you go take a bath or a shower, you bring enough with you to pour over your body. After you're done with your business in the shower, you pour it over your body, as John said, very aware of the intention of why you're using it, and you let it air dry. And you can use as much sweet bath as you want without having to do any bitter baths. But the bitter baths cleanse, clear, remove heaviness and fog and fatigue. And then the sweetness brings in exactly that. It brings in sweetness. With the tobacco, there's a way that you can smoke tobacco in prayer. And so we recommend to use cigars for this because we never inhale the smoke. The smoke is an offering to nature. The smoke is an offering to the ancestors. But you could take a cigar, let's just say that this is a cigar, and the same way, you just pray your intention into it. You pray that the creator activate the consciousness of the cigar. And what's my intention? And then you light it, and the first few puffs, as you take them, offer it as a payment to the ancestors that are there. Because even if you live in the city, there's ancestors, their spirits are there. And so you puff a little bit for the ancestors, and then you just begin to puff and pray your intention and pray your intention. And that's the way that we work with plant baths and tobacco. Eh, John, ¿estás ahí?
Sí, señor.
¿Cuál otra herramienta ibas a compartir, hermano?
También tenemos el rapé.
So we also have rapé. It's another plant tool that you have that you can use.
Es una medicina de viento.
Rapé is a medicine of the wind, of the air.
También es importante la intención, por qué lo voy a hacer.
The intention of why I'm going to use it is very important as well.
Ya que empieza a curar corporalmente migrañas, sinusitis,
It heals the body,
cabeza,
headaches, sinus issues.
Y te abre el chakra de acá arriba.
And it helps open the crown chakra as well.
Entonces ahí es donde hay que conectarnos con toda esa creación para nosotros pedir al universo, a la creación, al gran espíritu.
Porque and there we connect with the plant medicine of rapé, asking the great spirit in nature to open us to receive wisdom.
Siempre bajo ese diseño de la intención, del respeto de estas grandes plantas maestras.
When we're working with the master plants, when we're working with teacher plants, when we're working with nature, it's important to have an intention and to have respect. John, ¿y el copal?
El copal también es muy importante. Siempre a la semana en el hogar, en la casa, hacer saumerio con el copal.
Copal is a smudging agent from the Amazon and from Mexico. The Mexican copal is different, but it's copal. And so any copal is good to have. You take your charcoal, and before you turn it on, you pray your copal. Again, setting your intention, asking the spirit of the copal to clean the area where you're using it. So it's really good to smudge. You can also use sage. You can use Palo Santo. But copal is a stronger agent. So you can get Mexican copal, you can get Colombian copal. There's many places online where you can get it. Four Visions Market, which is helping us facilitate this encounter here. It's a great website, fourvisionsmarket.com. They have amazing copal, amazing rapé. They have plant baths. So thank you so much to Four Visions Market for sponsoring this event and helping us do it. They're an excellent source for a lot of these tools. So copal, you weekly to sage or smudge your home every week is really great. If you own your office or it's your own office space, to do it there once a week, once a month is really great. And it removes, it just cleans energy. It's like sweeping your house, but spiritually. You can copal yourself every day. You can copal yourself once a week or once a month, whenever you feel called to. But it's an excellent tool. With copal, tobacco, and plant baths, you really begin to work like a shaman or like a wizard. You begin to work like a man of nature, because you're using, instead of trying to control and manipulate everything at the physical level, you're surrendering and using spiritual tools to work from everything from the spiritual level. Like John was saying, where's your consciousness? Where are you directing your consciousness? So you use these tools to direct your consciousness. You use these spiritual tools to manifest the outcomes you want in this world. Instead of trying to force it, you surrender. And then you use the tobacco, you use the plant bath, you use the copal to release, to open doors, to open windows to your life, to close the things that you don't need, and to open the things that are going to be of greatest service to you, allowing you to really live your greatest purpose. Because something that is so true that I realized the days that each of us are a unique, fine work of art. There's a beauty in us that the Creator gave. When we were created with a very unique beauty. And it's our responsibility to see that beauty and to share that with the world. You know, we don't see the awesome beauty that we are as individuals, as men, as humans, but we can, and we can use these tools to get there. And when we can finally see that fine piece of art that I am, that the Creator made, this living art, I can truly share it with the world and truly allow my beauty to flourish and be shared. Um, there's another there's another tool that we're going to talk about in a second, that's available. Um, Rick, is there anything you want to say at this moment, brother? You're on mute, brother.
The only thing I want to say is that in my experience from using the bath and copal and sage and palo santo and all of that is what's interesting that happens is after you begin using it and you use it and you use it and you use it, you begin to develop a relationship with it. And for me, that was really mind blowing to discover that there's a relationship that gets built with the plants through over time, right? And then it will remind you of things. It'll call you back to things. It's a super powerful experience to dive into that and then to develop that kind of relationship. There's been times when I've walked into the house and I know I needed a grounder, I needed something, and I smelled the copal in the air, I smelled the palo santo or whatever it was, and it literally brought me back, like it grounded me. So I highly, highly, highly encourage the use of these allies. It makes a big difference. It has for me.
Yeah, I concur with that 100%. You know, I can't tell you how many times I'm just sitting here working. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna copal the house right now, and I'll grab some copal, I'll set my intention, I'll cleanse the house, and it's just like wow, you know,
Yeah.
it's like taking a power nap that you didn't know you needed. It
Yeah,
just
for sure.
changes that, it changes everything immediately. John also wants to express that meditation and prayer, yoga, these are excellent tools to use because our habits really do. The habits are the way that we're designing our tapestry, our life. So by having healthy habits, I build a healthy life. And so whether it's qigong or tai chi, or maybe it's kung fu, or maybe it's yoga or breath work, it's important for us. Maybe it's just 3 or 4 workouts at the gym, but that's your thing, right? You have these physical habits that allow you to connect into the moment. They allow you to be present in the moment, mind, body, and spirit. And that morning prayer is such an important tool. Starting out the day, as John said, by separating a moment to connect, to focus our intention for the day, to fall into gratitude and to live in that energy the rest of the day. John and I, we have with Rick's going to come and he's going to be there with us. I want to show you guys something real quick. It's called Savage Encounter. And it's a men's spiritual retreat. It's a journey into healing the divine masculine. It's only going to be for 15 men. Rick will be there, I will be there, and John Freddy will be there. That's our intention. And it's taking place in El Llano, Colombia from August 13th through the 24th, okay? It's $19.50 per person. It's an 11-day retreat. We have 3 plant medicine ceremonies. We have we have a 4-element ceremony where we connect to the 4 elements of nature. We're going to learn how to make spiritual payments. We're going to learn how to make physically our own spiritual payments that we use to make to nature and to the ancestors. And then there's a day where one by one, we go on a canoe over a sacred lagoon and we give this payment to the lagoon and we come back and then the next brother goes out and goes out. We're going to have men's fire circles and a lot of other surprises. If you want more information, please send me a direct message on Facebook at Carlos Duran Live. You can send me a DM. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can send me an email, carlosbeyondborders@gmail.com, and just ask for more information on Savage Encounter. It's a men's only retreat. It's our first one. We're putting a lot of love and energy into this. It's going to be savage. This will be something that breaks you and remakes you. No holds barred. I'm not going to lie. This will not be a soft experience, but when you come out of it, you will come out of it with an encounter, connecting to yourself, connecting to the divine. I can't wait to go through the experience with you. So Justin, you can reach me at carlosbeyondborders@gmail.com. I'll put that in the chat for you guys right now. carlosbeyondborders@gmail.com. You can also reach me at Carlos Duran Live on Facebook. Carlos Duran Live on Facebook. My brothers, thank you so much. Let's see what we have here. If there's anything else that we want, that John Freddy or Rick are going to share with us. Mi hermano John, ¿tienes algo más que compartir con nosotros? ¿Algo más que decir?
También unas grandes herramientas son los instrumentos, como las maracas, los tambores. Esto, nuestros antepasados lo dejaron para nosotros hacer uso con conciencia, respeto y la intención. Estos instrumentos, a través de un sonido, abren los portales de la conexión entre este mundo, este plano y el plano astral, espiritual. Entonces, cada sonido es abrir ese portal para que vengan toda esta energía a ayudarnos a sanar, ayudarnos a tener armonía, ayudarnos nosotros a tener conciencia. Son unos instrumentos de mucha conciencia y es la llave para abrir ese portal entre nosotros y esta energía astral, espiritual.
Wow. So the final tool that John wants to leave us with is the musical instrument. He said that all musical instruments, when used with intention, open portals. They open portals into the astral realm. And we can use musical instruments to open these doors and to bring in this energy of healing for our lives, to use this astral energy that the musical instruments open to elevate our consciousness. Musical instruments are a key to the spirit world, John is saying. And it is something that we can use, whether it's just a harmonica or a little rattle, a little shaker, a little drum beat, a little hum, a song that you sing to yourself quietly. Music is the sound of creation. Creation comes from color, from vibration, from sound. And so when we connect to sound, we are literally connecting to the building blocks of life. Wow, John, muchas gracias, hermano.
Muchas gracias, hermano.
Bueno. Ya voy a hacer la despedida entonces, ¿eh?
Bueno, te quiero agradecer. Gracias, Carlos, gracias, Rick. A todos ustedes, muchas gracias por hacer parte de este tejido, este diseño. Acá estamos para nosotros apoyarnos, ¿no? Como familia y poder nosotros así mismo tener un acompañamiento para poder nosotros expresar este caminar de cada día de nosotros poder seguir construyendo esta conciencia como tal. Muchas gracias, Dios los bendiga, Dios los guarde, los proteja, que tengan un excelente resto de día y de toda su existencia. Muchas gracias.
Rick, anything else, brother?
You know what? I just want to tell every single one of my brothers on this call how much I love you and how much I appreciate you. It's so important that we come together and we connect in this way. And I just so honor the divine masculine that's arising within each and every one of you. And I'm present to the gift that you all are. So really, thank you so much for being on this call. Thank you for sharing your sacred time and the gift of your presence in the space through which all of this can be spoken into this world and into this time. And I pray that you somehow make it out to the retreat with John Freddy and Carlos and I. It's going to be incredible. I'm sure it's going to be life altering, and I look forward to seeing you guys there. And God bless you all.
Bueno, my brothers, may God bless you. May God protect you always. Being a man is not easy, but it's a lot of fun. And to be gentle with ourselves, to be kind with our healing. It is possible to be soft and strong. It's possible to be compassionate and yet stand firm in your values. It's okay to have standards, and it's beautiful to be you. Whatever we feel our shortcomings are, that's just part of the process. We don't have to linger in where we think we're failing. We can live in where we're walking. I walk towards my excellence. I walk towards my greatness. And if I am truly and honestly walking, everything else is a lesson. Everything else is an opportunity. Never allow anything to shame you. Allow every moment, every encounter to be something that empowers you, that activates you to be a greater man, a more beautiful human being, an excellent leader, and a loving soul. I love you, my brother.
Amen.
May the force always be with you. We're going to go out right here. And I hope to see you all at Savage Encounter. And I love you. Can you guys hear that? No?
No.
That's too bad. Bueno. I love you. It's Church in the Wild with Kanye West, but it's not playing loud. You see? No. Bueno, guys, go home and play Church in the Wild. You're here. It's fantastic. It goes with this. Bueno, everyone, I love you. God bless you.
Thank you, guys.
God protect you always. Thank you so much.
I love you all. Peace, guys.